In the year 50,000, the Milky Way was no longer the same. The stars were ruled by the Galactic Alliance, a vast network of thousands of alien civilizations bound by laws, trade, and a shared belief that they were the first true masters of the galaxy. Every world was mapped, every species catalogued, and every myth turned into a tale to amuse the young. Among those myths was one about a strange species that had once lived on a blue planet. They called themselves humans, but that was so long ago that no one believed they had ever existed. To most, humanity was just a ghost story, a story about an extinct race that vanished after destroying their own world. On the world of Varela Prime, a world of green skies and silver towers, a young historian named Lena Ward spent her days studying forgotten records. She was different from the others. Her mother was from the Jaran species, an insectoid race known for their precision and logic. Her father had been part of a small colony of old human hybrids, descendants of a time when humans had mingled with alien traders. That tiny spark of human curiosity burned inside her, and it drove her to look where others dared not. Lena spent her nights in the archives, scrolling through ancient data cubes filled with corrupted memories. Most were useless, but one night, deep within the storage vaults of the University of Galactic History, she found something unusual. A set of encrypted files marked with an ancient Earth date system. The codes were unlike anything she had seen before. As she tried to decode them, a set of coordinates appeared on her screen. She stared at the coordinates for a long time. They pointed to a region of space that no one traveled to anymore, the Galactic Rim, the edge of the known universe. Her pulse quickened. Alongside the coordinates was a single word in a language that her translation program could barely interpret. It read Sol. She didn't know why, but that single word made her heart race. The more she looked, the more strange details she found. Old designs for ships, transmissions in dead languages, and fragments of what seemed like songs or messages. They all carried the same mysterious tone, as if someone had wanted to leave a message for the future. When she shared her findings with her superior, Professor Haral, he laughed. "My dear Lena," he said, shaking his four eyes, "this is fantasy." The so-called humans destroyed themselves long before the first Alliance Charter was written. You would do better to study something real. But Lena could not forget the coordinates. She sent the data to a private scanner array to see if anything existed at that location. Days passed with no result. Then one night, as she was closing her research terminal, her screen flickered. A faint signal appeared, weak, distorted, and ancient. It repeated a pattern of sounds that no one had heard in eons. Her translator worked for minutes before displaying the message. It was short, but it froze her blood. It said, "We are returning." She played it again and again, thinking it must be an error. But the signal repeated itself every 3 hours, always the same words, always the same tone. She reported it to the Alliance Science Council, but they dismissed it as random static or a remnant of an old communication beacon. The matter was closed, but Lena could not rest. Far across the galaxy, on a massive station orbiting a dying star, Admiral Ethan Graves stood before a panoramic window, watching the slow rotation of his fleet. The Admiral was a tall, gray-skinned man with deep-set eyes that had seen too many battles. His fleet guarded the galactic border, a quiet post few wanted. He had spent his life defending the Alliance from raiders and unknown threats, but in the last 1,000 years, there had been no real enemies. The galaxy was stable, peaceful, and predictable, or so everyone thought. One of his officers, a young lieutenant named Kara Lynn, rushed into the command deck. "Admiral, we have detected a distortion," she said. "Sector 998 near the edge of the Perseus Arm." Graves frowned. "A wormhole?" "Not exactly," she said. "It's something else. A fold in space, but not like any we've seen." He ordered the sensors to focus on it. The readings made no sense. It looked like a hole in space, but it wasn't emitting the usual radiation. Then, without warning, the distortion widened. A blinding light filled the view screen. From the darkness beyond the distortion, ships began to appear. They came in silence, sleek, dark, and without visible engines. Hundreds of them moving with perfect coordination. No identifying marks, no Alliance codes. They looked like shadows carved out of light. "Try hailing them," Graves ordered. The communications officer nodded and opened every channel. "Unidentified fleet. This is Admiral Graves of the Alliance Defense Force. Identify yourselves." No response. Then a moment later, the unknown ships began transmitting. The message came in a language the translator system struggled to process. It took several seconds before the translation appeared. "This is Earth Command. We have returned." The bridge went silent. Graves felt his pulse slow. He had heard the word Earth before, in stories told by old scholars and forgotten myths about the first species to rise from a single world. Humans. But that was impossible. No one had seen them for tens of thousands of years. "Is this a trick?" he asked quietly. Kara shook her head. "The signal's real, sir. It's coming from those ships." Within hours, news of the strange fleet spread through the Alliance. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Some called it a hoax. Others said it was an invasion. A few older historians whispered that humanity had finally come back. Meanwhile, on Varela Prime, Lena received a secure message from the Alliance. She was ordered to report immediately to Admiral Graves aboard his flagship, the AFS Valor. They wanted her to help interpret the signals, since she was one of the few who had studied ancient human data. When Lena arrived on the Valor, the crew was tense. Every screen displayed images of the mysterious fleet, which had stopped near the edge of Alliance space waiting. Admiral Graves greeted her in the command room. "You're Dr. Ward?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said. "You received the same signal I did?" He nodded. "We don't know what to make of it. The Council thinks it's a trick by rogue factions. I'm not so sure." She studied the holographic image of the human ships. The shapes were strange, elegant, and efficient. No wasted design, no exposed parts. Their hulls reflected no light. They looked like they were made of living metal. "These markings," Lena said softly, pointing to a faint symbol on one of the ships. "They match something I found in the archives. Old Earth design patterns, but far more advanced." Graves folded his arms. "You're telling me these ships are human?" "Yes," she said. "Or something that evolved from them." The Admiral looked out the window at the distant shimmer of the unknown fleet. He didn't know why, but he felt a deep unease. The next few days passed in a blur of waiting and watching. The human fleet did not attack, did not move closer. It simply hovered at the edge of Alliance space, broadcasting the same calm message. "This is Earth Command. We have returned." Scientists tried to analyze the energy signatures of their ships, but the readings defied all known physics. The engines operated on principles no one understood. Energy levels were beyond anything the Alliance had ever recorded. Rumors began to spread among the soldiers that the humans had found a way to manipulate stars, that their ships could move faster than light without leaving trails, that they had weapons capable of bending gravity itself. Lena spent her time in the observation deck, watching the human fleet through the transparent dome. The ships looked peaceful, almost patient, as if they were waiting for the galaxy to notice their return. One night she stood alone in the dark observation hall when she saw something that made her breath catch. One of the ships near the center of the fleet flickered and vanished, not by jumping to warp, but by folding space around itself. It disappeared like a reflection swallowed by water. She realized in that moment that the Alliance was hopelessly unprepared for whatever was coming. These humans were not the same beings who had once walked the Earth. They had become something else, something far beyond the understanding of the rest of the galaxy. The next morning, Admiral Graves ordered all fleets to high alert. The Galactic Council had decided to confront the intruders. They demanded that the human fleet identify their intentions or leave Alliance territory immediately. The humans replied with a single message: "We are not intruders. We are the architects returning to our home." Lena looked at the Admiral. "They mean the galaxy," she said softly. "They're saying this was their home." Graves stared at the display. "Then we're standing on their property," he muttered. As the human fleet slowly began to move closer to Alliance space, every sensor, every weapon, every ship pointed toward them. The sky filled with tension. Lena felt both fear and excitement. For her whole life she had dreamed of finding proof of humanity's existence. Now, as the long-lost children of Earth returned from the dark, she realized that her discovery might change everything the galaxy believed about itself. The stars above Varela Prime shimmered as the first light of the human fleet reached the system. The illusion of the galaxy's control, built over 50,000 years, was about to break. Humanity had returned, and the universe would never be the same again. Admiral Ethan Graves stood in silence at the front of the command bridge. The main view screen showed the dark void of space filled with hundreds of unknown ships. They floated just beyond Alliance borders, arranged in perfect formation. They didn't drift, didn't move randomly, and didn't respond to any signal. They simply waited. For days, the fleet had remained there, silent and still. The entire Galactic Alliance was watching. Across thousands of systems, governments, and citizens were asking the same question. Who were they really? Were they truly human? Graves had received orders from the Galactic Council to keep the unknown ships contained. If they crossed the border, he was authorized to engage. But he had also received another message, a private one from the Council's secret intelligence group. It said that some of their deep space probes had vanished near the same area where the mysterious fleet appeared. It was possible, the message said, that the ships were using some kind of energy field that destroyed electronics. He didn't like that possibility. Dr. Lena Ward stood near the analysis console, her eyes fixed on the symbols displayed on one of the ship scans. These designs, she said, are definitely human, but the structure, it's too advanced. The hull isn't metal. It's something else, something that changes shape on its own. Graves turned toward her. Can you talk to them? Lena nodded slowly. I've been trying. I've used the old Earth dialects, but they don't respond directly. Their message is automatic, and it keeps repeating every 3 hours. Read it again, Graves said. She pressed a button, and the speakers filled the room with the same calm voice. It was neither male nor female, just a steady tone that carried a strange authority. This is Earth Command. We have returned. The bridge fell silent again. Every time the message played, the crew felt uneasy. There was something powerful in that voice. Not a threat, but a certainty that no one could explain. Hours later, a new alert came through. The scanners had detected movement. The unknown fleet was advancing slowly, crossing into Alliance space. Admiral, said Carolyn, they're moving. Velocity is minimal. No sign of weapon activation. Graves tightened his jaw. Send another hail. The communications officer nodded. Unidentified fleet. This is Admiral Ethan Graves of the Alliance Defense Force. You are entering restricted territory. Identify your purpose immediately. No answer came. Instead, the human fleet increased speed slightly, gliding forward as if ignoring the Alliance ships completely. Graves looked around the bridge. Prepare the fleet for defensive formation. Do not fire unless fired upon. Thousands of ships shifted into position. Lines of energy shields shimmered, and the blackness of space filled with the glow of weapon charges. Lena stared out at the incoming vessels. They're not attacking, she whispered. They're scanning us. How do you know? Graves asked. I can feel it, she said quietly. Their ships emit a kind of pulse. It's not hostile. It's like they're reading everything. Our signals, our history, even our thoughts. Graves didn't like the sound of that. Can we block it? No, Lena said. Whatever technology they're using, it's beyond anything the Alliance has. Minutes later, a strange light rippled across the human fleet. Then, for the first time, one of their ships sent a direct transmission. The message appeared on every screen in the system. Not just military networks, but public ones too. Every citizen across thousands of worlds saw the same thing. A human figure appeared, more tall, wearing a smooth silver uniform. The face was calm, almost expressionless. The eyes glowed faintly blue. The figure spoke. We are the descendants of Earth. We have traveled far beyond this galaxy. We return not to conquer, but to reclaim what was once lost. Your history began with us. Do not resist what is coming. Then the message ended. The entire bridge was silent. Graves finally spoke. What did they mean, reclaim what was lost? Lena looked uneasy. It could mean many things. Earth was once the origin of all human life. Maybe they're saying they've come back for their homeworld. But Earth is gone, said Kara. The old records say it was destroyed. Maybe not, Lena said softly. Maybe they rebuilt it. Before they could say more, sensors flashed again. The human ships accelerated and passed the first defensive line. Alliance vessels moved to intercept. Graves gave the command. Hold formation. No one fires without orders. The two fleets came within range. The space between them glowed with tension. Then, without warning, every Alliance ship's system began to fail. On the Valor, the lights flickered. Consoles shut down one by one. Engines went offline. What's happening? Graves shouted. Unknown interference, yelled the chief engineer. All systems are locked. It's like something's controlling our computers, Lena stared in shock. They're not attacking us. They're turning us off. Outside, thousands of Alliance ships floated powerless. Not a single weapon fired. Not one ship could move. The human fleet continued forward, untouched. Graves slammed his fist on the console. Can't we do anything? Override something? We've tried, said the engineer. Their signal is rewriting our systems. It's like our technology doesn't even exist to them. The human ships moved closer to Varela Prime. Then one of them, larger than the rest, stopped. It emitted a pulse of light that spread across the entire system. Every ship, station, and satellite powered down instantly. Even the planet's energy grid failed. In total darkness, the voice returned. Your illusion of control is over. Lena felt the words more than she heard them. They vibrated through the ship's hull, through her bones. She knew then that humanity had become something far beyond the Alliance's understanding. After a few minutes, the system slowly came back online. But the human fleet was gone. Not a single trace remained. They vanished, said Kara. No warp trail, no radiation, nothing. Graves stared at the empty void. They wanted to show us something, he said. They wanted us to see how powerless we really are. Across the galaxy, the same event repeated. Fleets lost power, planets went dark, and the message of return echoed everywhere. Panic spread. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Lena was invited to attend as an expert on ancient human history. The council chamber was filled with dozens of alien species, tall, short, feathered, scaled, and luminous. At the center of the hall stood the Speaker of the Council, a glowing being named Varn. Dr. Ward, he said in his echoing voice, what are we dealing with? Are these truly the lost humans? Lena took a breath. Yes, I believe so. Their technology is far beyond ours. They have evolved into something else, something higher. But their actions show they are not here to destroy. They are testing us, Varn frowned. Testing us for what? To see how much we've learned since they left, Lena said. To see if we are worthy of the galaxy they once called home. The room filled with nervous whispers. Some council members demanded that the fleet be destroyed before it could return. Others said to open peace talks. But no one knew how to reach them. While the council argued, a strange thing happened. A new signal appeared across all communication networks. This one was stronger than before, filled with images instead of words. It showed the Earth, whole, blue, and alive. Oceans glittered, cities floated above the clouds, and massive structures surrounded the planet like protective wings. Then came another message. Earth has awakened. The children of the stars are called to return. Lena felt tears in her eyes. It's real, she whispered. Earth survived. The council chamber fell into chaos. Some saw hope, others saw danger. Admiral Graves watched the transmission in silence. He had fought for the Alliance his whole life, believing it was the peak of civilization. But now, as he looked at the image of the reborn Earth, he felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. Humility. Later that night, Graves met Lena on the observation deck. Outside, the stars burned quietly, unaware of the fear and wonder spreading across the galaxy. They could have destroyed us easily, he said. But they didn't. They wanted to remind us, Lena said. For thousands of years, the Alliance believed it ruled everything. But it was all an illusion. Humanity's return shattered that illusion. Graves turned toward her. You think they'll come back again? Yes, Lena said softly. They didn't leave to conquer. They left to prepare. And now they've returned for a reason. Something is coming, Admiral. Something they've seen beyond the stars. Graves didn't answer. He looked out into the endless dark where the human fleet had vanished. Somewhere out there, beyond the rim, the descendants of Earth were watching. As the night passed, a single point of light appeared at the far edge of the system. It wasn't a star. It was brighter, sharper, and it pulsed with a rhythm that matched the human signal. Lena and Graves both saw it from the deck. The light grew stronger, casting long shadows across the floor. They're not done, Lena said. This is only the beginning. In the quiet that followed, the stars seemed to tremble. The galaxy's greatest illusion, that it had mastered itself, was gone forever. Humanity had returned, and their silent power had changed everything. The age of the Alliance was ending, and a new era was about to begin.